owns the media? For many of us, journalism is about public service. We assume journalists are working to inform, educate, and empower their readers and audiences. But it can also be more complicated than this. A newspaper's policies and political stance are decided not just by your reporter on a case-by-case basis, but are also shaped by editors and owners. How independent an editorial is can vary quite a bit between newspapers, and broadcasters and many media organizations aren't transparent about their challenges. It's often quite clear to readers what the political stance of a newspaper is. What you don't always see is how those with vested political interests are working to influence this content behind the scenes. And sometimes censorship isn't even externally imposed. When they feel unsafe, journalists and their editors can start to self-censor. And that's why understanding media ownership matters.
So the first thing you need to know is the difference between private media and state media. Let's start with private media. Private media refers to media that is funded by an individual or a group. This is media for profit. And so, private media companies make money from the sales of their publications, but also from the advertisements and sponsored programs. Here in Sri Lanka, private media are quite influential. In 2018, Reporters Without Borders and Verity Research published the Media Ownership Monitor. They analyzed 46 media outlets with the largest audience shares in Sri Lanka. Now, the research revealed that the country's media market is highly concentrated. In the print media, the top 4 owners have a combined readership share of 75%. The top 4 owners in Sri Lanka's television market together account for 77% of the viewership share. An equally high concentration can be observed in the radio sector, where the top 4 owners account for 74% of the listenership share. And when you throw political affiliations into the mix, it only gets more challenging to sort out where a publication's loyalties lie. Here you can see that the owners of Sri Lankan media can include current politicians as well as people closely affiliated to them. Just keep in mind that these statistics come from one of the few studies in Sri Lanka, and the study was released in 2018. Some of these figures may have already changed or may change in the future. However, they give you an idea of why experts are concerned that Sri Lanka's media landscape is highly polarized and that media pluralism is under threat.
What does Senel mean by media pluralism? One definition is simply having a media landscape in which many different and diverse types of media exist, and ownership is equally diverse. Why is this important? Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights stresses that the right to freedom of expression and the free flow of information is only possible if society has free access to a multitude of media, and if society has a free choice between different media outlets. So having a diverse and competitive media landscape is a key ingredient in a strong democracy and allows for more checks and balances to be in place. Essentially, we're likely to hear more sides to every story. And that brings us to the other side of this equation, state media. For the year 2017, the state was the only owner to have a foothold in all 4 mediums of print, television, radio, and online. So they're an important part of this discussion. Who owns state media? Well, you, the public, pay for it through taxes and the government budget. Like private media, state media too can have challenges around ownership. And in the worst cases, state media can become instruments for promoting state policy. They can lose their independence and ability to question the government.
This is an important thing to keep in mind because state media make up a significant part of the media landscape. In Sri Lanka, it is estimated that the state owns at least 30 media outlets across print, television, radio, and online media. State-owned media typically carry information regarding the actions of the government and will often reflect the government's position on particular issues. Daily News, Dinamina, Sunday Observer, Sri Lanka Rupawahini Corporation, and the Independent Television Network, as well as the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, are all examples of state-owned media.
We'll take a look at media guidelines and ethics in subsequent lessons. And you'll understand the principles that both state and private media must live by. Knowing about the ownership of the media outlets you watch, read, or listen to will help you analyze why information is presented in a particular way, why certain opinions are included and others disregarded, and what the agenda might be.
But in the meantime, it's important to remember that you are an important gatekeeper of information. Your decisions on what to click, read, share, like, and comment are powerful actions that shape the information environment for your friends, family, community, and the country. So be aware and choose wisely.